Ever stood in an empty room and felt you weren't alone? Psychic investigator Andy Matthews has.
There's something that's happened in the past in this area.
And he's not alone.
There's something going on here. I can sense them all around me.
I was born on Halloween, just before midnight, and I am the seventh daughter of a seventh daughter.
Something's down there.
An 800-year-old castle in a once thriving port. Times have moved on, but according to those who live here now, the spirits of a once desolate past still remain.
It was right in my ear, and it got loud. The room like echoed with it. It was really loud.
The kind of results we were looking for is hard evidence.
What the hell?
There's something banging around somewhere.
Somebody has to.
They believe. The question is, do you? Ardglass Castle dominates one of the oldest settlements in County Down. A major port that experienced both prosperity and plague in the 19th century, it's quiet now, but not entirely undisturbed. Exactly the kind of place that psychic investigator Andy Matthews finds himself drawn to.
Ardglass itself is as quiet as the grave. I mean, the port behind me is over 1,000 years old, and it evokes a feeling of superstition because it's a fishing village mixed with mystery and perhaps even hauntings. I'm used to kind of going to one location where hauntings and ghosts have been reported, but with this place, it's an entire town. You've got over 6 castles here. So it's a kind of place, really, I could spend probably a month in, never mind a few days.
To learn more about the castle and the port, Andy has arranged to meet locals George Rice, Sean Johnson and Ronan Fitzsimons in the village pub.
Ronan, your family's been here for 4 generations. You must know a lot about the history.
Well, I have a few bits and pieces about it. It was a big fishing port, of course, at that time. And even this ledger, which dates back to my grandfather, will indicate the number of vessels they had in one day in the port. And like you're talking about 80, 90.
So this port really would have been one of the most influential,
This
wouldn't
port
it?
was here before Belfast.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, the fact that it was tidal was the importance.
They could get in at any state,
Yeah.
high or low
Yeah.
water. They
Yeah.
could still get in.
I take it there must have been a lot of tragedies over the years.
Well, we've had
Also many
tragedies
fishing.
in our time, but I don't know whether George remembers of the lifeboats that were brought in after the Princess Victoria disaster. And there were bodies in them. And they were lifted ashore at the crane that sat down beside the toilets. And the 2 boats sat there for quite a period. Until the end, the fishermen insisted that they be removed because any time they were going back to the boats at night, they swore they could hear things from them. They weren't happy about it anyhow, so the boats had to be taken away and burnt.
In a fishing village like this, there must have been many fishermen that have lost their lives over the years, and that's borne out really with the tradition of ghosts and the belief in the afterlife, because it helps people get on. There's closure there if they believe that their loved ones have gone on to a better place, and that's really comforting. And I think in a village like this, that kind of tradition of ghosts and an everlasting life is something that's very, very prominent, I would imagine.
The founding father of modern Ardglass was William Ogilvie, a Scot whose marriage to the widow of the Earl of Kildare in the late 1700s made him the local landlord. Along with a new pier, he built houses for the workers and a family seat in the old Norman ruins down by the sea.
Ogilvie was the man, really, that formed what we see out there now.
Over a length of time, he modernised the port. At the same time, he went down to what is now the golf club, and it was a ruin, and he began modernising it, and he stayed there.
Do you think we're going to find anything down there?
Oh, I think it's well worth looking at, you know. There's certainly a lot of superstition about it, let's say that, to start you forward.
After 4 generations, the landlord's family were on the brink of bankruptcy and put the village up for sale. The castle ended up as the local golf club.
So, Sean, you were the club
steward, yes.
Club steward, that was it. So you were the last person, really, to live in Ardglass Castle.
That's
Now, it's
correct.
got a lot of ghostly stories attached to it. You must have one or two, surely. So how many years did you live here, Sean?
13 in all.
Unlucky for some.
There were some, no. There was 13 great years.
Obviously, and on a windy night, the house would creak and groan. But what else have you heard? There must have been some kind of scary, kind of spooky sounds that you heard.
On that top floor above, where the snooker table is, we used to hear the balls when we're in the bar. You hear them click, click around the
And there's
around the
nobody
table.
up there?
And you used to go up. Nobody there.
Do you mind if we go up and have a look?
Yes.
Yeah.
Go around.
Cheers. So this is the haunted snooker room.
This is the snooker room.
This is where the sounds were coming
That's
from.
the sounds of the balls.
It was virtually a kind of a that you'd hear.
Just that.
My playing hasn't improved. Mm-hmm. What about footsteps? Though? I mean, the clicking of the balls is one thing, but when people are playing snooker, you're going to hear a kind of a.
No, just the balls. Never
That's
heard
it.
any footsteps, no.
What was this room originally used for? Do you know?
The people of the house slept up here.
But there's
probably
not
children, maybe, if the young ones in the
Children.
family, children, I would say, yeah.
Good. Yeah, it's probably the sort of thing a child would do. I know mine would. Click the balls around.
At the far end of the castle, the oldest part of the original building, Sean had another, rather more palpable experience.
A few years back, I was taking a delivery of kegs in for Christmas, about 20 odd kegs, and this area is very dark out here. And I didn't know, I thought somebody watching me, you know, I just got a feeling. All of a sudden, I felt my hand on my shoulder, and I turned around, and there's nobody there.
Was it a man's touch or a female touch?
It was a man's.
A man?
Man, I would say a man.
It was a firm
But
comment.
that's the first thing came into my head. It wasn't it was a female, you know.
At the same end of the castle, staff member Shirley Hannah had a similarly unnerving encounter.
This fire door's usually lying open the way it is now, and as I came down to close the door and put my hands out to pull the bar, and I could feel something on my shoulder beside my ear, and I start pulling the door, and there was this noise. It was like somebody taking a breath. It was like,
Really?
like that, only it got quite loud. It wasn't particularly pleasant.
It couldn't have been the wind, could it? Because obviously with the door open, was there
No.
a wind blowing up? No,
No, it was right in my ear, and it got loud. The room like echoed with it. It was really loud. It wasn't particularly pleasant, but
Was it a male kind of voice?
I don't know. It was just that, like that. I don't know. I have no explanation. I try to keep an open mind, but I have no explanation for that.
And did it scare you for a few days, or?
Not really. You just forget about it.
So you-
With working here, there's
Yeah.
wee things going on. And
Is
you
there?
Just, yeah. you
Like
just-
what? Please tell.
Well, another night locking up, I saw a woman in the ladies' locker room. Well, the image of a woman.
A ghost?
A ghost, yeah, a ghost. I've
Whereabouts
seen
was
it.
that? Can you show me?
It's just down these stairs here, just down in the main corridor.
This funny thing with this place, nobody seems to be afraid. When people experience something they don't understand, it can do two things. One, it can fascinate or it can scare. 90% of the time it will scare people, scare the wits out of somebody because they don't understand what it is. They'll immediately reference films they've seen or books they've read of demons and unnatural spirits trying to do damage.
I come in here and put the light on like I'm doing now, and the lady's desk is here now, but it used to be over there. And as I came through the door, there was a form standing by the desk, and she had her back to me, and it was her hair I was taking in. She had really, really curly hair.
I've been doing this a long time, and I can honestly say I've never come across anything that wants to physically hurt, or some of them are angry. And these people have got to understand that, you know, the ghosts that inhabit their house or their business or wherever are people. They were once people living lives as we are. And you have to give them that respect. You have to give them that same respect as if they were still very much alive. Are there any disembodied spirits present within this room, please? It's a slow yes. Are you a male, sir? Are you a female? Are you a child? Are you a little boy? Each investigation is unique, whether it's a castle, a mansion house, a pub. It may have a similar ghost, you know, the obvious grey lady or a duke wandering the corridors, but they're all different. Each place has its own energy.
While Andy continues his dowsing, medium Marion Goodfellow is approaching the village.
Are you still here? No, gone.
Gone. That's amazing.
Strange. I expected to pick up the woman.
Woman, yes.
Or at least the trace, the energy
Yeah,
trace, if she's been seen in here, but it would pick up a little boy.
There are stories of a child crying. I've heard a child crying in this corridor outside here.
This reminds me of my childhood. It's a beautiful fishing village. I grew up in Grimsby in Lincolnshire, which was also a fishing town. And all the associated sadness, as well as happiness and joyous times. There's been terrible times for places like this, as there was for me when I was a child. I feel already an affinity with the place.
As a psychic investigator, Andy aims to seek out spiritual energy.
Yeah, there's something there. Something, not just the door, but along this whole...
Marion, on the other hand, believes that same energy is drawn to her.
But it's that back wall. Let's see, try again. Bang. Yep. Something's either happened here or there's some kind of residual energy that remains here along this wall, but there's... I don't know what it is. There's something that's happened in the past in this area through this wall.
I've got children all around me. I can hear them. It doesn't feel like a happy sort of sound. It's not as if they're playing. It's like as if they're trying to get my attention. There's something going on here. I can sense them all around me. There's a boy here. He looks bedraggled, damp, lost. He's lost. So sad, I could cry. Naturally, if there's the energy of children are going to evoke all sorts of thoughts and feelings into me. I've lost my own children. So, you know, to have a child lost and wanting its mummy is, I think, for every mother on the planet would be, you know, a heart-wrenching thing. But he can see me. And he thinks I can help him. And I must try. This is so sad. Such a sad feeling.
Once inside the castle, Marion is immediately drawn to the same area where Andy detected an unusual presence earlier.
If there's going to be any sighting of paranormal activity, it's going to be right just here. It's like a whoosh of energy. It's definitely a male-dominated space. I know there's photographs on the wall of gentlemen, obviously, of the golfing fraternity. But this gentleman's from before that time, definitely before that time. He's quite tall, quite elegant. Oftentimes when we come into places like this that have been used, I've got some energy. Stay back. This gentleman is definitely owner of all these surveys. He knows everything that's going on in this place.
After meeting up with Andy, they make their way to the snooker room at the very top of the castle.
What, you felt something on the stairs?
Yeah, I feel nursery. Like a nursery, I can hear children laughing. Totally different from the children outside. Absolutely.